If it's not been clear so far, I'm hoping to make it clear on this particular page here that basically we have children who are multilingual and developing in these parallel ways. So we have the process of language acquisition, which I'm showing you here on the left. And you can see that we've covered some of the issues related to pre-production, early production, the stages of language acquisition, and so forth, and emergence from Bix to Cow. And then we have cognitive development in the middle, which is knowledge comprehension. You might recognize this as Bloom's taxonomy, but we could put any taxonomy in here, Piaget, Vygotsky, it doesn't matter. And then on the right-hand side, we have academic development or instruction, where we move from pre-readiness kind of training, when we're young, before we go to preschool, then readiness training, basic skills, and so on and so forth. Now, children are developing along these three lines, linguistically, cognitively, and academically, all at the same time. And as long as things stay parallel, everything is fine. We'll move from Bix to Calp, and again, that happens around around fourth grade or so. It can vary here and there, but everything is progressing nicely. And as long as things remain parallel like that, anything we do in terms of instruction, assessment, and intervention will be effective. It all makes sense, okay? And all of this happens within the cultural context of the school, not the cultural context of the child, but of the school. What does the school expect? When does it expect it? What are the standards? What's it trying to provide? So all of this is embedded in that. Now, when we do our work, when we instruct, when we intervene, when we assess, okay, if we don't do things in a parallel manner, we have problems. So, for example, you're all at the advanced fluent stage in English right now. So is it necessary for me to have to teach you and talk to you at a pre-readiness kind of level? No, it isn't. That would be wrong. Why? Well, I would have to come in and I would have to do things like, point to that and say, that's the color yellow. Can you all say yellow? And you'd be thinking, oh my God, I think I'm in the wrong course. And I'd be thinking, well, you didn't do that very well. So let's go to that one and say, that's the color blue. Can you all say blue? And you'd be thinking, yep, definitely in the wrong one, right? I don't need to do that because you're able to understand things in a more advanced way because your language is more developed. Since you're at the advanced fluent stage in English, you're able to understand things at an advanced conceptual developmental level, which means I can show you charts and diagrams. You can take this course. You can read on your own. You can take quizzes. You can write things, and you're able to learn properly, right? No problem whatsoever. However, things also work the other way around. Por ejemplo, si yo empiezo a hablar en español, yo sé que tal vez unos pocos me pueden entender, ¿verdad? Ahora, ustedes que me pueden entender, por favor, háganme una cosa muy simple. Levanten sus manos derechas, no la mano izquierda, solamente la mano derecha. Y quédense como así, porque tengo que contarlas. Mira, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. ¿Y qué pasa con los otros? ¿Por qué no están levantando sus manos? ¿Es que no lo pueden hacer o no entienden? ¿Es que no comprenden? Tal vez, pero también puede ser que no lo pueden hacer porque son incapacidad, ¿verdad? Son mensos. Oh, wait, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, but I just said it in Spanish, so if you don't speak Spanish, you have no idea what I just said anyway, right? Didn't mean to insult those of you there. It was a mild insult, please. I'm just kidding around, you know that. But what happened to your learning the moment I code switched into Spanish? You were probably thinking, uh-oh, my computer just started doing Spanish for me. I need subtitles. Or my computer just went wacky because it's speaking Spanish to me. What happened to the English? You didn't learn anything. You didn't get anything out of it, did you? Why? Because you're at the pre-production stage in Spanish, not an advanced fluent stage. And so therefore, doing what I was doing was inappropriate. If I wanted you to learn in Spanish, I would have to do what I did before in English, except that I would point to it like that, and I would say, that's the color amarillo. Can you all say amarillo? And you'd be, no, okay, so we'd go to that one and say, that's the color, ese es color azul. Can you say azul? And you'd go, oh, azul. And look at that, and then you'd be learning in Spanish, because that's the level I'd have to go to. So you see, the whole thing is that children can be at two, and adults, but children can be at two different levels at the same time. You were all at this level here in English, so doing everything in English was not a problem. But many of you were way down here in terms of Spanish, so doing it down there is not a problem. Those of you who happen to be bilingual, right, and biliterate, You guys can do anything at either language. It doesn't matter. And if I was saying in English, saying in Spanish, you didn't skip a beat, did you? In fact, I gave a test while I was speaking in Spanish, and some of you might not have realized this. And the test was, please raise your right hand. That's all you had to do. And I know that some of you did it, but not all of you did. Why not? You see, that begs the question, doesn't it? And that's how we operate in our schools. We see the lack of performance, and that signals to us something is wrong. When a teacher has a class and asks questions in that class, and a child keeps raising his hand, teacher asks that child, and that child always has the right answer, pretty soon the teacher knows, I'm not going to pick that child because I know that child knows the answer. I'm going to pick some other children that I don't know if they know the answer. So you see, the lack of performing is what clues us in. We do this in testing. We do this in our measurements. We do this all the time. And so when a child doesn't perform, our question is, why didn't you do that? Why didn't you raise your hand when I asked? There's really two possibilities. One, well, three maybe. You could do it, but you didn't understand what I was saying, so you didn't. Or you didn't understand what I'm saying, but you still wouldn't have been able to do it because nobody's ever taught you how to do it, but still not your fault, right? Or number three, the one question I asked, maybe you can't do it. Maybe you have a disability. Maybe you were incapable of raising your right hand, which is when I used the word in Spanish I probably shouldn't have used. But again, all in good fun. So you see, that's the determination. On one hand, maybe it's just a difference. On the other hand, maybe it is a disorder. That is what we're trying to figure out as we move forward. So as we move toward, the conclusion of this particular section and this particular module, it's important to remember things get off kilter for the children that we're working with. Multilingual learners can only be expected to do what they can do at the level that they're at. If they are at a very low level in English, then you want them to perform in English, they can only do so to the extent of their development in English. And if both of their development in English and their heritage language has been at that BICS level, like I showed you previously, then it means they're not able to do anything at the level you might want them to, even though they are of a certain age or grade, and that's our expectancy. So bottom line is that education must follow maturation.